Welcome to another edition of SVSU Red Alert, your weekly update on Saginaw Valley State University athletics. I'm your host, JJ Boehm. It was a milestone and record-setting victory for the SVSU football team at Lake Erie College. We'll review that with SVSU head coach Jim Collins and get an update on women's soccer with Coach Drago. That's all ahead on this edition of SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined by SVSU head coach Jim Collins. And Coach, we've got a lot of highlights from that Lake Erie game, some records set, but first of all, also congratulations to you on your 100th career coaching victory.
Thanks, JJ. Couldn't had a better group of guys to share it with. It was a great win for us, and you know, that's one of those things as a coach, you cherish them all because they're all important, and that was a big one for us to be able to bounce back after the Findlay game. So, you know, nice to get it done, but focused on the next one.
And that'll be Ferris State for homecoming. 51-24 the final score against Lake Erie College, and two school records set in that game in the passing game. John Jennings, 511 yards passing, and Jeff Janis with 300 yards receiving. They both had pretty good nights, I'd say.
Exactly, and you know, you watched a little bit of film with us, JJ. Lake Erie cooperated a little bit with the type of coverages they were going to play. They were going to play a lot of single coverage, and really were going to sell out against the run. So, you know, our ability to execute the passing game we thought was going to be the key to having offensive success, and it was great to see John and Jeff be on, and we had some other guys play really well, you know, in the receiving game, and the offensive line did a great job of protecting, but to see John and Jeff hook up like that was really nice.
But it wasn't only those two guys. You still got a good ground game from Tim Hogue again, and then other guys made big plays for you in the passing game as well.
You know, the passing game in the first half, we had really opened it up, and I think that allowed us to run the ball a little bit better in the second half, and Tim had a great second half and did a great job in protection as well. But, you know, you also had people like Deion Joby scored their first touchdown. I thought he had a great game. Mark Thrash did some good things catching the ball and running after the catch. Michael Albrecht had one catch, you know, similar to the Malone game, one catch. That's all he needed. He had a 58-yard touchdown pass. But once again, the story was no sacks. And the line did a great job of protecting, and I thought even the times we did get a little pressure, John was able to escape it. So really a collaborative effort offensively.
You talk about that play by Deion Joby. That was a great individual effort by him, catching the ball outside the hash to the right, then coming all the way across the formation. But he had some good help downfield because Ronnie Lark and others really sold out to help him find that lane.
And, you know, we talk about that type of effort every day in practice, and then when we get ready to play a game, it takes 11 people doing their job, but then that little bit extra effort is what sometimes enables you to have big plays, and that's exactly what happened there. Ronnie really hustled down the field, threw a block, and without that block, Deion would have had a tough time scoring. So, and you could see the celebration. That was Deion's first college touchdown, but he celebrated it with Ronnie. He knew Ronnie threw that key block.
And so that was a big play. You mentioned Michael Albrecht as well. Again, like you said, Malone, he goes to Ohio and he only gets one catch, but it's for a big play and a touchdown. And that time he did a good job of getting separation on the deep ball.
And you know, the best thing about that was it was just as planned. We had worked so hard on that in practice, and to see it all happen in the game is good to see. But once again, a great ball, hit him in stride, and then he had to do something to get in the end zone, because as the ball was hanging in the air, the defensive back was able to recover, and Mike made a great effort after the catch to get in the end zone.
And then you look at all the big plays that Jeff Janis had, but his touchdown's another one of those plays where it doesn't have to be the deep ball, although he certainly caught some deep balls as well, but sometimes it's just that short hitch, and if he breaks one tackle, people just can't catch him from behind.
Exactly. And you know, Jeff was a little frustrated because in the first half he got caught from behind a couple times on the deep ball, and really not his fault. The ball hung up there a little bit and Jeff had to go get it and got tackled, but he was determined in the second half to come out and make a statement. And you know, the touchdown catch, as you mentioned, he breaks two tackles, and he's a strong big kid. He breaks two tackles and then outruns their whole team to the end zone. And you know, that's what he needs to do consistently: catch that short ball, break tackles, and outrun people.
And then, as you said, in the second half in particular, really made a concerted effort to go back to the ground game. You were protecting a lead, and I thought Tim Hogue did a good job of running with authority because, as you said, Lake Erie sometimes really sells out against the run, so it doesn't look like there's a lane. So you just got to take what you can get and, run hard.
Exactly. I mean, they're playing a defense where they load the box. The safeties are up tight to the line of scrimmage. You can't block everybody, so you have to be able to make people miss on the second level. And Tim did a great job of that, making people miss, with his quickness and his moves, but also he was physical. He ran over some guys and broke some tackles. So that type of consistency in the run game is what we're going to need week in and week out. Now, I like the way we're blocking people up front. I like the way Tim's running the football. I like the way we're mixing the pass in there with it. And the other thing we did a good job of in the second half is we did a good job blocking on the edge our receivers downfield. So all those things working together, is what we're going to need from here on in.
And I thought a key play in that, or a key turning point in that football game, there are kind of two of them. One in the first half was Grant Caserta's interception.
Exactly. And Grant made a great play, and it was good to see Grant get that interception. We needed to create some turnovers. We're coming off of a week where we didn't get any, and to see us have some turnovers, Grant had that big pick. And then, we were able to go down and score. And then the other one was obviously at the end of the half where Jeff Heath gets the interception and the big return.
And he did have a big return. Unfortunately, it was the final play of the half, so that all that yardage didn't help you. But then to start the second half, I thought the other key point was Lake Erie is able to come out of the locker room and they put together two big plays, and then the next thing you know, they're in the touchdown. They cut the lead down to 10. But the way that your team was able to respond and put together back-to-back 10-plus play drives, eat up a lot of time on the clock and then go back on top by 3 scores.
Exactly, because they cut the lead to 10, and that was the first bit of life you saw out of them and their fans, and there was a lot of emotion involved. And we want to come out in the second half and shut them down, and we weren't able to do it. Big pass play and then a big run, and it was great to see our offense put something together. And as you said, it wasn't just a 2 or 3 play drive where we hit a big play. It was a time-consuming, dominating type of drive, and then get the ball back and do the same thing again. Obviously keys to that game, and momentum plays such a big role in college football games, and they had gotten a little bit of momentum there, and to be able to get it back and then put our foot down and make a statement, I thought was key.
And there are also some interesting plays that won't show up in the stat book where you actually block an extra point and then Jeff Heath returns it the other way, but unfortunately that was called back due to a penalty. But again, it showed I thought the type of effort that everybody was playing with on Saturday night.
Absolutely. And Dave Toussaint got a little jump on that one and got off a little quick, but had a great block, and then Jeff with the return. And that was the other area, we don't talk about it enough, JJ. Special teams, we are really doing a great job of running down on kicks with great effort. Guys are selling out, being physical. And then, the other thing that was good to see is Scott Stanford, 3 of 4 on field goals, 5 touchbacks on the day. So all of those things is what it takes to have a great game and improve as a football team.
And so those were all the facets that all kind of came together for you. When you win 51-24, you kind of expect that. But the other thing that I thought was really impressive was the way that you were able to shut down the running game of Lake Erie for the most part, because they've got 2 freshman running backs that both had gotten off to very good starts, but for the most part, you were able to bottle them up.
And if you were at the game or had a chance to watch the video, those backs are really good. I think they're 2 of the better backs in the league, and there's quickness and speed and balance. And, with the exception of 1 or 2 runs that they had, we did a great job of running the football, stopping them at the line of scrimmage before they could get started. And then the other thing was we pressured the quarterback, 5 sacks. That was another key, that we weren't able to do the week before, is get people in the quarterback's face, hit them, knock them down, force them to make mistakes, but also pressure and get some sacks. So all those things together defensively were really key for us.
And then you're eventually able to, I think, play just about everybody who came on the trip. And those guys were able to come in and make plays for you as well, whether it was on offense or defense.
Exactly. That last drive, both offensively and defensively, I think we saw some key things. And, those are the important things about a game like that is getting a chance to play some people that normally wouldn't play if the game was really tight, and see how they perform and get them experience and develop your depth. And we were able to do that, and we made some nice plays, some nice runs on offense, a couple of nice throws, and then defensively, I thought we did a good job of making plays on that last drive and stopping them and getting the ball back. So as you said, JJ, a lot of people played, and it was good to see people have success when they got their opportunity.
And again, what a record-breaking night for your quarterback and your wide receiver. And you talk about that again, because they just don't come around very often. There's a reason why they're school records, but to have a quarterback throw for over 500 and a receiver go for 300, that's pretty special.
Exactly. And, you know, we talk about the fact that we had some defensive looks that enabled us to do it, but you still got to execute the play and make it happen. And you know, I'll give Lake Erie some credit. They did a good job of pressuring the quarterback, and John was under pressure. He got knocked around a little bit, but still stepped up in the pocket and made those throws, knowing he was going to get hit sometimes. And then obviously you got to make the catch and the run after the catch. And to have a 300-yard receiving game is huge, and to have 500 yards passing, you know, those aren't going to happen, as you said, very often. You cherish that moment, and I think there's a lot of great memories from that game on Saturday. And, you know, I think a good team learns from it, and not just the good but the bad, and moves on and gets better and gets prepared for the next one.
And the next one for SVSU is Ferris State, whom the Cardinals will host for homecoming. We'll get Jim Collins' thoughts on that matchup a little bit later on. But when we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU linebackers coach Tesfa Smith. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's male Spring Hill Suites Athlete of the Week is Jonathan Jennings. Jennings, a junior starting quarterback on the SVSU football team, led the Cardinals in a record-breaking performance over Lake Erie College this past weekend, 51-24. Jennings broke the SVSU school record for passing yards in a game with 511. Jeff Janis also took down a school record, as well as the GLIAC for receiving yards, as he hauled in 12 catches for 300 yards. Jennings connected on strikes of 58 yards to Michael Albrecht and 36 yards to Dion Joby, and 73 yards to Janis. The previous SVSU pass and receiving yard marks were set in 2003 by former Cardinal standouts Mark Ralinski and Glenn Martinez against Ferris State. Jonathan Jennings, your Spring Hill Suite Male Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm joined now by SVSU linebackers coach Tesfa Smith. Tesfa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, JJ.
And first of all, we brought you on a good week. I know you were joking with your guys before the Lake Erie game. You said, hey, I'm going to be on this week. Come up with some big plays for me. And your guys certainly did.
Yeah, you know, a tribute to those guys for, you know, getting focused the whole week and preparing. And going out there and executing everything that we prepared them for. So we had a really good week of practice, and Lake Erie showed us everything that we practiced, and our guys were just at the right spot at the right time, and very productive day for my guys. I was really happy, you know.
Obviously, Grant Caserta had the interception, kind of the biggest play, but he had some tackles for loss. Brian Johnson had a big sack and some other tackles for loss. So again, a good all-around effort by the linebackers.
Yeah, you know, and whenever our guys are out there playing and making tackles and tackle for losses, that means that those guys up front are really doing a great job of keeping those guys off of them and allowing them to take those windows. And you know, Grant got that pick in the next series. You know, Brian has an opportunity to get another pick, and he drops it, and he would have scored. And we gave him a little grief for that, but you know, just a fantastic job of those guys of, you know, flying around the football and staying active and getting around the football. So.
And you've been able to work in a number of guys at the linebacker position this year as well. Major Metcalf starting on the weak side, but then you've been able to bring in Caleb Higbee. Zane Bruger has seen some time back there, so I know you like to keep those guys fresh.
Yeah, well, technically, Major and Higbee are considered DBs, but you know, I'll take them as linebackers. But you know, we had a really good summer. You know, as far as our linebacker core, staying up here in the summer and getting in phenomenal shape, and that was our biggest goal. You know, we knew that Grant, you know, was going to be a 4-year starter and was probably going to get a lot of reps. We knew Brian was going to get a lot of reps, but I challenged those other guys to make sure that they get on every special team. You know, as linebackers, if we travel all of those guys, they should all be on special teams and contributing any way they can. And you know, they did a great job of, you know, getting in great shape this summer and on our all special teams. So that was good. And then, you know, when we played good as we played last Saturday, we have opportunities to get everyone on the field. So, and that was good because we got to play Zane, we got to play Trevor, we got to play Lawrence, and then we got to play Dwight. So it was good to get all those guys on the field and get the experience that they need.
So what does it take to be a successful linebacker in this scheme defensively?
Just a great work ethic. The ability to prepare yourself week in and week out. When I recruit linebackers, when I look for a linebacker, I look for a kid that's a ball hawk, that plays with phenomenal effort. Because if you out effort and out hit people, you can play linebacker for me. So I think if you have that ability to just outwork everyone and prepare yourself, you're going to be a very productive linebacker for us. So.
You mentioned what you look at in recruiting. Obviously, one of the other hats you wear is the recruiting coordinator.
Yeah.
What are you always telling people when you're trying to explain to them what SVSU football is all about?
Well, what I tell them is it's a rich tradition of winning, a football program where week in and week out, you're going to be competitive, and if you can feel the competitive team week in and week out, you're going to win more games than you lose, and you have the opportunity to win some championships. And, that's the biggest thing. And another thing I touch on is the fact that they not only have an opportunity to come and play for a very great football program, but an opportunity to get a great education here at SVSU.
And I know that you get to do a lot with that because there's a lot that goes into it from the coordination standpoint, setting up all those visits and making sure guys have their paperwork taken care of and all of that.
Well, it's changed so much, and over the last couple of years, and then you do the majority of your recruiting now, as you opposed to in January and February, and you try to get as many kids up on campus now so they can get an idea of what it's like on a Saturday night, playing for the football program. So, it's good for us because we play at night and we got a great atmosphere, so we can get a lot of kids up here and they can see what it's all about, and it makes our job easier when we go on the road in January and February.
Well, we know that all of these hats you'll continue to wear throughout the course of the season, and hopefully with some continued success. Tesfa Smith, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
And when we come back, we'll be joined by women's soccer coach Drago. That's next on SVSU Red Alert. Saginaw Valley State University, where students learn in personal classroom settings and state-of-the-art labs. Where students make a difference in Michigan's Great Lakes Bay region and study the world. A place where we celebrate red pride. Saginaw Valley State University. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm now joined by Drago, the women's soccer coach here at SVSU. Drago, thanks for joining us.
A pleasure, thank you.
And you're coming off a weekend when you didn't get a victory, but played some pretty good soccer against some pretty good opponents, and you didn't lose either. You wound up with a couple of ties.
Well, actually, it was a pretty good weekend. We went to visit #1 in the nation at Grand Valley, and I thought that was one of the best games that we played all year. And the girls were absolutely tremendous. They played out of their minds. Their heart and desire were just in the right place. And Sunday, I think all that on Friday that they gave us, we were a little bit short, even though we didn't win. But I thought that it was two different games. And I think right now we just have to work a little bit on consistency. And that is our biggest thing right now. We play one game that is just outstanding, and the next game we cannot reach the same level. So right now I think we are working on consistency more than anything else.
And I know going back to that Grand Valley game, again, a lot of build-up, a big rival, #1 team in the nation. But one of the other things that stood out to me was I think you only made one substitution in a double overtime game.
I know, we talked about it. We actually talked about it during the game, and it was one of those games that a coach gambles. And at this time, at this moment, the gamble paid off. And we talked about it. We asked the girls, we cannot have heavy legs on a field. We cannot be tired. And the players were literally screaming at me that they don't want to get out. It was perfect situation. It was under the lights. It was rainy. It was cold. It was beautiful. It was such a perfect setup. And the girls literally had fun. And they enjoyed it. It was incredible competition. I thought we played on a level that we are capable of. And it was my decision, and it was very tough. It was a very tough decision, but the girls just did not want to let down. And any substitution, you never know. If everything is working well, Do you want to change it for the sake of substitution? And we made a decision, it is working, they don't look tired, we're just going to go for it. And we actually had a great opportunities at the end of the game. What is so fascinating to me, that in a length of the game, through 2 overtimes, our kids just did not look tired. The emotions, the feelings, the intensity, the mental toughness to play against the best in the country was really great. It really was. So.
Well, and now obviously you're still going into the middle of your GLIAC season because you've got a tough road trip in front of you going down to play Ashland and Ohio Dominican, and I know you're going to need that same type of effort and that consistency you're looking for.
Right, that is the key right now because we are playing good. We have very good defense. From day one I came here, our heart and soul is our defense as a whole team. And it looks like we are playing great on Friday, and we just have to find consistency to play like that on Sunday. We do have players, we do have a great group of the girls that they really are working extremely hard. We just have to find that consistency, and we're going to be fine.
How do you work on that during the season to develop that consistency? Because obviously you spend a lot of time practicing for your specific opponents as well.
Yes, we really are. We have a tactical games that are set for the particular weekend. We did change our formation, for instance, for Friday, and change them again for Sunday. I think it is a growing up. You know, there's a lot. We have actually pretty young team. And a lot of times it is growing up. To understand, it is about playing to win, not only playing. And preparation have to start from Tuesday on. We try to teach them, you cannot suddenly come on a game and think everything going to go your way. You have to prepare. And it is about preparation. It is week long, and hopefully we're going to be ready for this weekend. It's going to be tough. We are playing on a turf, both games, and I really believe in our kids. They're really working very hard, and they play exciting soccer. We have a lot of great talent. Our freshmen are just outstanding. We have 2 freshmen that are just jumping out of the on a screen, Presley and Alexi. And they're just playing outstanding as a freshman. It's really actually beautiful to watch. So we have 5 seniors, and I think the balance is pretty good. We just have to find that consistency to play the same Friday, Sunday.
Well, hopefully you find all of that, and hopefully you get some success on the road trip. Coach Drago, good luck.
Thank you so much.
And when we come back, we'll be rejoined by football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
Laura Ivy J., this week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week. Ivy J., the starting goalkeeper on the SVSU women's soccer team, earned 2 ties against Ferris State and the top-ranked #1 Grand Valley State over the weekend. Ivy J., with the help of her defensive unit, turned away 8 shots on Friday, September 21st, as she posted a shutout against the #1 Lakers in Allendale. Ivy J. then came back on Sunday, September 23rd, to give the Cardinals a 1-1 tie against the Bulldogs in Big Rapids. Ivy J. is now 5th in the conference with a 1.11 goals against average as the Cardinals move to 2-1-4 overall and a 1-0-3 in the GLIAC. Laura Ivy J., this week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week. Laura Ivy J., this week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week. Laura Ivy J., this week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. The Cardinals now begin GLIAC North play, and they will host Ferris State for homecoming. I'm rejoined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, this is a Ferris State team that is going to be a little different from the standpoint that Jeff Pierce, who had been their head coach for a long time, is no longer there. They brought in Tony Anise, so you've got a little bit of film to work with, but you're not going to have as much of an understanding of what this Ferris State team brings.
Well, exactly, and we're a little bit familiar with Coach Anis's offense because he's run it at the high school level at Muskegon and then the junior college at Grand Rapids Community College. It's an option-based attack. They're going to be in the shotgun and run the option every way they can. But they also do a good job of throwing it, and they mix in the run and the pass very well. So it's going to be a great challenge for our defense to be disciplined against the option and be able to support with our secondary like you have to, but also stay deep and cover the pass. And then defensively, they're going to be similar to what they were in the past. It's still a four-man front, and there's only so many defenses you can play, and it's going to be familiar with what our defense is. But what we've seen so far is they've got good athletes up front defensively and do a good job in the secondary of covering people.
Does it help you to have played a Lake Erie team that does some of the similar types of things to what Ferris likes to do offensively and have that now for a second consecutive week?
I think it does. And we saw a little bit of option when we played Malone. So the fact that we've got a little bit of option under our belts, mostly shotgun and one back, which we've seen now for 4 straight weeks. So I think there's a lot of carryover. I think the biggest difference is Ferris hits you downhill pretty fast. And I thought, from watching film of their offense against Lake Erie, they do a good job of mixing and being balanced and being, efficient in both the passing and the run. So I think we're going to be faced with a great challenge, but the fact that we've had some of the similarities in the other offenses we play definitely helps.
And you switch to the other side of the ball and look at what you like to do on offense. And again, this is a Ferris State team that's had a great tradition of defensive line. And as you mentioned, that's something that they have again this year.
Exactly. They've got their 2 returning ends from last year, and they're both good players. And then they've replaced some guys in the middle. And what we've seen is pretty good football from them as well. The 3 linebackers that started last year are back. 2 out of the 4 starting defensive line, a couple guys in the secondary. So it's an experienced group on defense. They haven't changed much. The new staff didn't change much on defense. I thought that was probably really good on their part to keep things consistent because those guys were familiar with the 40 front and, maybe a little bit more blitzing than in the past, and we've got to be prepared for that.
And what do you do to get your team ready for the homecoming game the right way? Because sometimes there's all the hoopla and festivities around campus, and I know you've got to try to make sure that players don't get caught up in that too much and yet still be part of the student body themselves.
Exactly, and it's a tough thing because you don't want to be distracted by homecoming, but you also understand that you're part of the student body. You're a Saginaw Valley person as well as student athlete, and you have to get somewhat involved because it's your community. So what you do is you get focused on the things that are important and try to keep the distractions away from the players. And I think our guys understand that. We've got a mature team, so they understand the task at hand and also understand, a lot of those people were at that football game to see the football team win.
And we certainly hope that that will continue, that type of success for SVSU. But as I mentioned earlier, this is something now where you now move into GLIAC North play, and with the realignment, this is really when you hit the meaty part of your schedule.
Exactly. When you look at the North Division, you've got, look at the next part of our schedule. A lot of these teams have winning records. Most of them do, coming off of the first 3 or 4 games. So we know it's a great challenge. We know that the North has great football teams, and week in and week out, we've got to be at our best in order to have a chance to win.
What do you need to do against Ferris State specifically, given that they're also coming into this game 3-1?
We need to maximize our opportunities offensively because they're going to be a team that's going to want to control the ball. All option teams are like that. They want to take over the game in terms of time of possession. So we've got to maximize our opportunities. We've got to keep the ball ourselves. And then defensively, obviously, we've got to play great on 3rd down. We can't allow them to convert 3rd downs time and time again. If we can do those 2 things and combine it with the great kicking game, we should be in good shape.
Well, Coach Collins, good luck against Ferris State.
Thanks, JJ.
And we hope you have enjoyed this edition of SVSU Red Alert.